This lesson is on solving multi-step equations. When you're solving an equation, typically what you're doing is you're taking the order of operations and you're going backwards because there's an equals involved, an equals symbol. Also, things you want to watch out for are distributive property. That would be the example of saying something like 2 times x plus 3, where you're going to distribute the 2 to both pieces to get 2x plus 6. And you're also going to want to look out for things like combining like terms. That would be like saying you got 5x plus 3x. Those are like terms because they have the same variable raised to the same exponent, a 1. So you combine it, the numbers, the coefficients, 5 plus 3 is 8, and you keep the variable as x. So in our first example here, we'll see that we have two variables, they're x, raised to the same power to the first power. And so what you're going to start with is combining like terms. So we have 2 minus 6, which is negative 4, and you keep the x exactly the same, is going to equal, and you bring this down, the negative 32. So we combine the like terms here, and we bring down the negative 32. Now this is negative 4 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're now going to take that negative 4x, which equals negative 32, and we're going to divide both sides by negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. It cancels because 1 times x is going to actually be x. Negative 32 divided by negative 4 is equal to positive 8. And then that will be your final answer. In this next example, you'll also see that we've got a couple numbers on the same side of the equals. They're both on the left side of this equal symbol. So what you want to do is you want to rearrange this equation first so you can combine your like terms. So this 8y is positive. I'm going to bring it to the front. This 6 is also positive, so I'm going to bring it just right behind it. And this 5 is negative, so you take the sign with the number, equals 9. Now what we can do is we can combine these like terms right here. So we bring down the 8y, which we haven't done anything with it. We do 6 minus 5, and 6 minus 5 is 1. And we bring down the equals, we bring down the 9. Now we're going to do that order of operations backwards, where we start with adding and subtracting. What is being added or subtracted to the variable? Well, if you see the y right here, it's 8 times y. That's multiplication. But it's also being added by 1, which means we're going to subtract 1 from both sides here, because 1 minus 1 will cancel. It's 0. So that leaves us with 8y on this side. And 9 minus 1 is equal to 8. So now we have 8 times some number is going to equal 8. So what are we going to do? The opposite of multiplication is division. We're going to divide both sides by 8. These 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 times y is y, or in other words, they cancel. And y is going to equal 8 divided by 8, which is 1. In our next example here, you'll see we have one that involves the distributive property. See, we need to distribute this negative 4 to both terms. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So here's a subtraction sign. And so this term of 5m and this term of 3 are separated by the subtraction symbol. So we're going to distribute this negative 4 to both terms. We bring down the 32 because we're not doing anything with it yet. Bring down the equals. Negative 4 times 5m is negative 20m. And now, remember, the sign goes with the 3. So it's like saying you have negative 4 times negative 3, which is positive 12. From here, we want to now move this 12 to the other side, because remember, wherever your variable is, you want to add or subtract the constants away from it. So the opposite of adding 12 will be to subtract 12 from both sides. When you do, 32 minus 12 is going to leave you with 20. Bring down your equals. we haven't used this negative 20m at all yet. But 12 minus 12, that will cancel. That will go away. So now we have negative 20 times m. Just like we've had on the previous steps, the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides here by negative 20. What happens? 20 divided by negative 20 is going to give you negative 1. And then this negative 20 divided by 20 is going to cancel, leaving you with just m. So m is going to be negative 1. Some students prefer to go ahead and write this as m equals negative 1 instead of negative 1 equals m. I'm going to switch over to a pencil now because my marker is dying. So on this next problem here, we have variables on both sides of the equation. So our first goal is to move the variables together. What I typically suggest to students is that they find whichever variable is smaller and move it. So I have 7w and I have 3w. 3w is smaller, so I'm going to move it by doing whatever this sign is. I'm going to do the opposite of it. So instead of adding 3w, I'm going to subtract 3w from both sides, because what I do to one side of the equation, I'm going to do to the other side as well. And I can see that is very hard to see. Give me just a second. Okay, so now 7w minus 3w will leave us with 4w. And then we bring down the plus 10 equals, I haven't used the negative 6 either yet, but what happened to my 3w's? Well, they canceled. 3w minus 3w is 0. It will go away. So from here, now I'm going to go ahead and move this 10. Opposite of adding 10 means we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. So I bring down the 4w because I haven't used it. 10 minus 10 is 0. It cancels. Equals negative 6 minus 10 is negative 16. Now I have 4 times w equals negative 16. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides here by 4. These 4's cancel because 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times w is w. Equals negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. And that will be my final answer. One final problem. In this problem, we have both the distributive property going on, because I see a number outside this parentheses with 2 terms, and I also see more than one case, so we're going to have to combine like terms. The first thing you always want to start with is that distributive property, because parentheses is what you typically start with when you're doing order of operations. So we bring down the 294 equals 12 times 1 is 12. And then 12 times 8k is 96k minus 2k. Now we want to combine like terms. That means that we want to combine these 2k. So we bring down the 294 equals 12. And then we have 96k minus 2k, which is 94k. Now I want to move this 12 because we always want to add or subtract the constant, the number that's all by itself, away from the variable. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. And then that's going to leave me with 282 equals, these 12s will cancel. And it leaves me with 94k. So now, what that means is I have 282 equals 94 times k. Opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides by 94. What happens are the 94 divided by 94 is 1. 1 times k leaves me with k. Those 94s cancel. 282 divided by 94 is equal to 3. So the value of k in this particular equation is 3.